Do you just want to set the world on fire? Do you want to see your enemies' annihilated boards laid out before you? Then Risona might be the commander for you. But first, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more deck text. Risona reads, Risona, Asari commander, 1 a red and a white for a legendary creature, human samurai, 3/3 with haste. Whenever Risona Asari commander deals combat damage to a player, if it doesn't have an indestructible counter on it, put an indestructible counter on it. Whenever combat damage is dealt to you, remove an indestructible counter from Risona. So our game plan here is to deal damage to an opponent, make our commander indestructible, then wail on everyone while continually blowing up the board, making sure only our commander is left standing. That means first and foremost is we're running a metric ton of board wipes, and I mean a ton. Such as Blasphemous Act, 8 and a red for a sorcery. This spell costs 1 generic less for each creature on the battlefield. Blasphemous Act deals 13 damage to each creature. And while 13 damage doesn't destroy everything guaranteed, most of the time this will be destroying everything on the board except for our indestructible commander. Day of Judgment is 2 a white and a white, destroy all creatures, and Wrath of God is 2 a white and a white, destroy all creatures, they can't be regenerated. Effectively, the same card. Depopulate is 2 a white and a white, sorcery, each creature who controls a multicolored creature draws a card, then destroy all creatures. We want as many 4-drop board wipes as possible to make sure our opponents don't get to stabilize. The downside of our opponents potentially drawing a card isn't that bad, especially since we get to draw a card if we have our commander out. Farewell is 4 a white and a white, sorcery, choose 1 or more, exile all artifacts, exile all creatures, exile all enchantments, exile all graveyards. This one's real strong, but be careful because this one exiles rather than destroys, meaning it can get rid of our commander even if they are indestructible. Shout of the Sky is 2 white white, sorcery, each player who controls a creature with power 4 or greater draws a card, then destroy all creatures. Another case where the minor downside isn't really all that bad for us, and sometimes even nets us a card. Vanquish the Horde is 6 white white, sorcery, this spell costs 1 generic less to cast for each creature on the battlefield, destroy all creatures. Like Blasphemous Act before, this one scales with how out of hand the board has gotten, making it an absolute all-star board wipe. Settle the Wreckage is 2 white white, instant, exile all attacking creatures target player controls, then that player may search his or her library for that many basic lands, put those cards onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle his or her library. This one's a little weird since it exiles a player's attacking creatures. It's still useful to have in case somebody else is running indestructible creatures and swinging them at you, though. Then World Slayer, 5 mana artifact equipment. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, destroy all permanents other than World Slayer. Equip cost 5. Now this one's just mean. We suit up our commander, hit anyone, then destroy everything but our indestructible commander, and yes, that even includes lands. This way, while everyone is frantically trying to rebuild, we get to slam in as hard as we can with our commander. A little side note is anything that puts counters on our commander is amazing for this 1-2 punch, since those will stick around as well. All that glitters is 1 and a white for an enchantment, aura, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control. As you can see shortly, with the number of equipment we run, we can pump our commander a ton for only 2 mana. Pariah is 2 and a white, enchant creature. All damage that would be dealt to you is dealt to enchanted creature instead. This is a cool interaction with our commander, where since the damage isn't being dealt to us, our commander doesn't lose the indestructible counter. Then our indestructible commander doesn't die, so they soak up all the damage forever. Blackblade Reforged is 2 mana legendary artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each land you control. Equipped legendary creature 3, equip 7. This isn't as strong as it could be in a deck with a bunch of land ramp, but it scales as the game goes on pretty well. Blazing Sunsteel is 1 and a red, artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+0 for each opponent you have. Whenever equipped creature is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to any target. Equip cost 4. This disincentivizes blocking, which I'm into. Commander's Plate is a 1 mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +3/+3, has protection from each color that's not in your commander's color identity. Equip commander 3, equip 5. This will give our commander protection from black, green, and blue, meaning those colors cannot target or block our commander. And with how popular blue and green are in commander, this equipment can be devastating. Hammer of Nizan is a 4-drop legendary artifact equipment. When Hammer of Nizan or another equipment enters the battlefield under your control, you may attach that equipment to target creature you control. Equipped creature has +2/+0 and has indestructible, with equip cost 4. More indestructible and redundancy of effects is good in case the worst happens and we lose that counter. Mask of Memory is a 2 mana artifact equipment. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may draw 2 cards. If you do, discard a card. Equip cost 1. This lets us go through our deck a little bit faster and allows us to pitch unneeded lands in the late game. It doesn't look super strong on the surface, but it can be a real sleeper. Maul of the Skyclaves is 2 and a white for an artifact equipment. When Maul of the Skyclaves enters the battlefield, attach it to target creature you control. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has flying and first strike. Equip cost 2 white white. Flying first strike is pretty sweet since it means we have to worry way less about blockers being a problem. Nettle Cyst is a 3-mana artifact equipment, living weapon. When this equipment enters the battlefield, create a 0/0 black Phyrexian Germ creature token, then attach it to this. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control, equip cost 2. Another card that scales well throughout the game. Again, with how much equipment we run, this card is an easy inclusion. Ring of Thune is 2-mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature has vigilance. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a +1/+1 counter on equipped creature if it's white. Equip cost 1. This combos really well with World Slayer since it gives our commander +1/+1 counters for as long as they're on the board, which is hopefully forever. Shadow Spear is 1 white, legendary artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has trample and lifelink. Pay 1. Permanents your opponents control lose hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Equip cost 2. The trample and lifelink can help us stabilize, but the key thing here is not having to worry about hexproof and indestructible threats from our opponents. Sunforger is 3-mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +4/+0. Pay red and a white, unattached Sunforger, search your library for a red or white instant card with converted mana cost 4 or less and cast that card without paying its mana cost, then shuffle your library, equip cost 3. This card is bananas. And while I'm not going to go over every single card this can hit in our deck, I will say that this hits a bunch of our removal spells to take out problematic creatures / permanents. Swiftfoot Boots is 2-mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature has hexproof and haste with equip cost 1. Hexproof is nice since we don't want our commander targeted. Sword of Fire and Ice is a 3-mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from red and from blue. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, Sword of the Fire and Ice deals 2 damage to any target and you draw a card. Equip cost 2. I almost considered putting Sword of War and Peace in here instead since it combos so well with Commander's Plate, giving us protection from all colors, but the ability to take out small utility creatures and draw cards felt like a much better use of the space, although you could run any of the swords of this and that since they're all pretty good. Sword of Vengeance is a 3-mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0, has first strike, vigilance, trample, and haste, equip cost 3. Keyword soup. I love it. Why does this have so many words on it? Who knows, but it's good. Sword of the Animist is 2-mana legendary artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1. Whenever equipped creature attacks, you may search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. Equip cost 2. Land ramp in red and white? Yes, please. This combos real well with a Black Blade Reforged, so consider tutoring one up if you happen to have the other. Whispersilk Cloak is a 3-mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature can't be blocked and has Shroud. Equip cost 2. Unblockable is perfect to make sure we can get the counter our deck revolves around in the first place. Just do be aware that while your commander is equipped with this, you can't equip them with other things until you get rid of the Shroud. Embercleave is 4 red, legendary artifact equipment. Flash, this spell costs 1 less to cast for each attacking creature you control. When Embercleave enters the battlefield, attach it to target creature you control. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has double strike and trample. The sudden double strike is our alpha strike to take an unsuspecting opponent out of the game. Most people don't look at an attack and expect to take double the damage they're looking at. Lizard Blades is 1 in a red, artifact creature, equipment lizard, double strike 1/1. Equipped creature has double strike, reconfigure. Pay 2, attach to target creature you control, or unattach from a creature, reconfigure only as a sorcery, while attached this isn't a creature. War double strike is cool, not as good as surprise double strike, but it's so cheap here that there's no reason not to. Line Sash is 1 in a white, artifact creature, equipment cat, 1/1, pay 1 white, exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a permanent card, put a +1/+1 counter on Line Sash. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each +1/+1 counter on Line Sash. Reconfigure 2. We don't run a ton of ways to interact with graveyards. If your local meta has a bunch of graveyard decks, consider running more, but Line Sash does a serviceable enough job on its own. Cloudsteel Kieran is 2 in a white for an artifact creature, equipment Kieran, 3/2 with flying. Equipped creature has flying, and you cannot lose the game, and your opponents cannot win the game. Reconfigure 5. This turns our indestructible commander into a Platinum Angel. Why on earth wouldn't we run something this strong? Now, for creatures, we only run about 20 creatures total in this deck outside of our commander. Since we're going to be board wiping often, it makes sense to only play high impact creatures that'll help further our game plan. Such as Akiri Fearless Voyager. 1 a red and a white, legendary creature, core warrior, 3/3. When you attack a player with 1 or more equipped creatures, draw a card. Pay 1 white. You may unattach an equipment from a creature you control. If you do, tap that creature and it gains indestructible until end of turn. Another way to give our commander emergency indestructible for 1 mana is pretty good. Drawing cards is just gravy. Darksteel Mirror is a 3-mana 0/1 artifact creature mirror with indestructible. Our commander, number 2. Kinda, sort of, not really. It's an indestructible body we can suit up 6 ways to Sunday if we can't get our commander out for some reason. Heiko Yamazaki, the General. 3 in a red, legendary creature, human samurai, 3/3 with trample. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, you may cast target artifact card from your graveyard this turn. This will let us get back equipment that may have been destroyed throughout the game, and is one of our only ways to achieve this. Iroas, God of Victory, is 2 a red and a white, legendary enchantment creature, God, 7/4 indestructible. As long as your devotion to red and white is less than 7, Iroas isn't a creature. Creatures you control have menace. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to attacking creatures you control. This is technically a creature, but we basically run it as an enchantment. Menace is good, and keeping our creatures from dying in combat before they become indestructible is pretty sweet. Ryu, Storm's Edge, is 2 a red and a white legendary creature human samurai with first strike. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, untap it. If it's the first combat phase of the turn, there is an additional combat phase after this phase. Second combat phase with a giant beater is pretty sweet, especially for the low price of 4 mana. Mother of Runes is a 1 white creature human cleric 1/1, tap, target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. This can give a creature protection from any problem, including itself. Great way to get damage through or keep our creatures safe. Pure Steel Paladin is white creature human knight 2/2. Whenever an equipment enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. Metalcraft equipment you control have equip 0 as long as you control 3 or more artifacts. We don't run a lot of ramp in this deck, which might be a mistake, but with cards like this, not having to pay anything to equipped creatures is a great way to cheat on mana costs. Silent Arbiter is a 4 mana artifact creature construct 1/5. No more than 1 creature can attack each combat, no more than 1 creature can block each combat. This is awesome, especially when our commander has Menace from Iroas. We pretty much only want to be attacking with our commander, so there isn't much of a downside here. Sublime Archangel is 2 a white and a white for a creature type angel, 4/3 with flying and exalted. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, that creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Other creatures you control have exalted. If a creature has multiple instances of exalted, each triggers separately. This is not the greatest inclusion, simply because we don't have a bunch of creatures on board most of the time, but being able to get a bump up in damage is pretty sweet. And this brings us to cards I couldn't fit in a category but felt I needed to tell you about anyway. Deflecting Palm is a red and a white. Instant. The next time a source of your choice would deal damage to you this turn, prevent that damage. If damage is prevented this way, Deflecting Palm deals that much damage to that source's controller. This can stop us from losing a counter off of our commander if our opponents try to hit us with a single creature. It can also throw a fireball back at somebody's face, which is really cool. Gideon Sacrifices 1 white instant. Choose a creature or planeswalker you control. All damage that would be dealt this turn to you, and permanent you control is dealt to the chosen permanent instead. This, like Pariah, combos well with our commander. It's a shame it's only for 1 turn, but it's a super cool combat trick. Contractual Safeguard is 2 and a white for an instant addendum. If you cast the spell during your main phase, put a shield counter on target creature you control. Choose a kind of counter on a creature you control. Put a counter of that kind on each creature you control. This one I absolutely love because we can give all of our creatures indestructible counters with this. Then we can blow up the board to our heart's content without any worry about our board state. And Boros Charm. A red and a white. Instant, choose one. Boros Charm deals 4 damage to target player or planeswalker. Permanents you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Target creature gains double strike until end of turn. Instant speed indestructible or surprise double strike again. Both are great options and a huge boon to the deck. And that's it. That's the deck. Did I miss anything? If so, let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure to give it a like, and if you really like this video, feel free to subscribe to my Patreon or even just my channel. Either way, I hope you have a wonderful day.